guess, that's was around back in the day, but you very rarely do. I've loved pretty much everything the guys have done. I was talking to Ron this morning, and we were catching up, and he told me the story of when he met you and
Yeah.
how those things happen, and the story as well about you being in the car with driving back from your parents. I think when he asked you if you'd like to come and jam with the band. So
That was pretty nuts, man. I had to make sure that he meant to call me and not like someone else. Oh.
yeah, imagine that if it had been like a pocket dial or something like that. It's no, it's good. I mean, I love the drum sound. Let's talk about that first. Very different from your predecessor in the band. Um, what 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 are you using? What do you play?
So, well, I got a couple different kits. This one behind me is it's a Gretsch Renown,
Hmm.
and they call it a 57 Renown because it looks like a 57 Chevy. It's
Yeah.
got some molding trim on it, and my dad, his first car was a Tri-5 Chevy.
Oh, cool.
So connection, I come from a really big classic car background, but on that record, I didn't use my kit. It was I'm gonna forget the brand of it,
Yeah.
but it was it's made by a small family in New York.
Yeah.
All I do remember though is the snare was a Ludwig hammered brass snare,
Oh, okay.
and I love brass snares. I think they're the best sounding snares in the world. Um, and I just used all my cymbals. I use Sabian and Zildjian. I'm not loyal to one as long as it sounds,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, the sound came out really. Is that your natural style? Is that, or is that something you just thought fitted with the songs?
That's a good question. It is my natural style to an extent, I'm really into I'm into so many different things. So it's hard to say what my natural style is, but like I had just done a record 2 years ago with some friends of mine. We had a band locally here where I live, and it was more of a prog rock kind of thing. So I was looking to Danny Carey from Tool, Neil Peart from Rush, things like that. But for this, I was kind of drawn more towards the people call it butt rock or new metal.
Yeah,
For songs like Wrecking Machine, they were like, "We want you to do double bass,
yeah,
kick it off with a drum fill." So I was listening to a lot of Slipknot. I was listening to a lot of Pantera. I really derived from Vinnie Paul's drumming.
yeah,
Uh, so it's me, but I feel like I got to shape things in a way that was more artistical and not just go crazy.
yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And they were really open to my style
Yeah.
to
I
an
mean,
extent.
it's cool that you say that because, of course, Ron, I guess, is from a more jazzy background, and Derek,
Yeah.
I guess, is more blues, and then you've got that prog rock element in there. But when I heard that double kick, the bass at the start of that song, it was like I knew we were in for something incredible.
Thank-
It's a great album. Lyrically, it's interesting as well, a bit dark on some of the slower numbers, but and then just ends with that wonderful
you.
instrumental that's just like a huge amount of fun. So it's a great album. So yeah, I mean, you're the the new, I guess, one of the two new guys, but you played with um, new bassist with Colin as
Correct.
well. Yeah, Craig. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, we played together in a band with Ron.
Mm.
Uh, we had a local band, and we did some pretty cool stuff, man. We opened for some really cool people, and it was a lot of fun. And Craig's a really solid bass player, and he's also such a great guy.
Yeah.
He's like the most level-headed person I know, which in this industry is hard to come by,
Yeah.
I think. Um, and yeah, so we already had some history of playing together and knowing what it was like to really mesh and
Mm.
lock in. So when it came to this, and especially with writing the new material, from my perspective anyway, it came really naturally the progression of how we made it sound.
Mm.
And obviously lots of good direction, at least for me, because I'm the least seasoned of everybody, because I'm 23.
Mm.
Lots of great direction and pointers from Derek, because Derek started on drums as a kid. That was his first
Yeah.
instrument.
Yeah.
Ron started on drums. And I'm pretty sure John's always been a guitar player, but either way, they all just were really supportive and helpful of what worked and what didn't. And lucky for me and for Craig, actually, they loved almost everything we did.
Yeah.
So
It does. It gives it a great sort of like energy, I think, and because of the fact that the way that you play is so different to Jamie, and the way that Craig plays is so different to Rob. It's sort of like that really stuck out for me at at the start of the record, and as the album progressed, it was one of the things that I really enjoyed. I must admit about it. Often you don't. Often, if you've got a band that you've loved for years and years and years, and you hear something new, you think, "Oh no, it's not quite working." But I think, I mean, Ron said it's his favorite Babylon A.D record, just shading the first one. But I think it's hard for a fan who's been there for the long haul, because not only have you got the great music of the early stuff, but you've got the memories that are attached to it. So that's what you've always got to overcome, the nostalgia. But I love the fact that you were playing that, looking for a heartbeat. You must have been playing that for a while now.
yeah, so they had that song written, and I guess they had played it a couple times before Craig and I came into the picture. But they played me a demo of it when we were kind of starting to demo songs for the album. It was the first one of the album that we learned because we were like, we should test it out live
Yeah.
on our shows last year. We were doing the live lightning stuff.
Mm.
Um, we were like, we should test it out, see what they think, and if the crowd responds well, we'll put it on the record. That was kind of the thought process, and I love that song. That's like my second favorite song on the album because to me,
Yeah.
that was a band before I joined. Um, that song sounds to me the most like the early stuff.
Yeah.
Like if that was on the first album, if somebody told me, "Oh, that's from their first album," I'd be like, "Yeah, totally."
Yeah. I think
I
you're
love that.
right. I think there's a couple on there that sort of like really do hit that signature sound. And for me, there's like another song that sounds a bit like the demos when the guys were, I guess, the Persuaders back in the day and stuff like that. So it must be interesting. I always think for a younger musician to come in to a band that I guess had its heyday a few decades ago. But you were already familiar with the music, Ron told me. So you already knew Babylon
Yeah.
from.
So my dad grew up in the Bay Area. He grew up in Fremont and Castro Valley, and
Okay.
they're from Hayward, which is like right next to it.
Yeah.
And I told him when I joined my first band with Ron before this, I said, "Yeah, Ron, he used to play in Babylon A.D. You know those guys, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I've heard that name." But in the Bay Area, the big band was
One,
Y&T.
two. Yeah.
But they would play together, and they know each other, and we're all friends now. And it's crazy for me because my whole childhood that I watched on my TV when I was supposed to be sleeping is like in front of me, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Um, but yeah, I was familiar. One of my parents, either my mom or my dad, had that first album on CD,
Yeah.
and play. And as I got into like high school and stuff, I really started listening to that stuff more. They say the underrated bands. I don't like the word underrated because I don't think they have a bad rating, but I do think they were underappreciated for their time. Um, and I was like, God, these songs are fucking gold. These are great songs. And I think I learned how to play Bango the Bells when I was like 6 or 7 because I saw it on my TV. And
Talking of that, I know you play drums from a very early age, but you need to go in and change your website, because in the
I
first
know.
one it says 5 and then it says
No,
6.
I started playing when I was like 4 or 5. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Um, my dad got me a Toys R Us kit.
Oh, cool.
Uh, and it was like, I think it was like First Act brand.
Yeah,
And it has, the cheap paper heads. And we had a speaker system in the house, like in the corner of the kitchen, and he set the drums up there. And he's just kind of sitting back, like, okay, well, let's see what there is. Because prior to that, we'd go to, the hardware store, and anything I could put my hands on, and he's like, hey, there's some groove there. And I was interested. I wanted a drum set so bad, and he was totally willing. I broke the heads in like 2 or 3 days on the drum kit. I was playing like AC/DC and Aerosmith, and it's been a nonstop adventure since, man.
yeah. It's great. I mean, I think it's great. We're living in, I think, quite a cool time for rock music because there are great new bands out there, but there's also a lot of, I guess, older. I'm not going to say heritage. I hate saying heritage acts, but a
Classic.
lot of, yeah, but there's a lot of older bands who are actually making great music at the minute now as well. I mean, and from your part of the world, great acts like Dirty Honey and stuff like that, who yeah, I got to hang out with a few weeks ago. They're absolutely lovely guys, but I was actually talking to John about of all things, among other bands, Babylon AD, and how
Wow.
he was a fan back in the day as well. So
Wow.
it's all connected in a way. But
Totally.
so for 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 you to come into a band like this, I guess, and get to play places like Monsters on the Mountain and the Whiskey. Have you played the Whiskey before?
Yeah, so we played it last year,
Yeah,
and I played it 2 times before that.
cool.
Um,
Yeah,
Not as the feature act. I was in an opening band both times. But either way, man, my first time, I kissed the stage as I walked up. I said, because if I never get to do this again, I can say I kissed that stage.
yeah.
Um, and I've done the mountain before
Oh wow.
once.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I
When?
played with I played with Mick Sueda for
Oh,
one
okay.
show
From Bullet Boys.
from, from Bullet Boys. He has a new project called The Hot Summers,
Yeah.
with a really phenomenal singer named Shane Tassart and a bass player Brian Kimes. They're all LA guys, and
Yeah.
I'm Northern California, so for rehearsals, I'm commuting 5 hours, so it wasn't
Yeah.
that feasible. But I did the one show with them, and that was very immersive.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget, tell the story all the time. You get to the venue in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's the convention center, so it's like a hallway that wraps around the whole thing. In the middle is like the arena.
Yeah.
And we walk into like a little dressing room where they're giving badges out to the artists. So you don't just get anywhere you want. And in the left hand corner, I see at the corner of my eye John Corabi
Sure. My
just
good
sitting there
friend.
with his guitar. And for me, that was like, this is going to be the most famous person I see all day. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. That's John Corabi. I love him. I love the album he did with the crew. And then we go backstage to where we're going to see where our dressing little tent area is for the next day. And like Stephen Piercy right next to me, Jack Blades right next to me, Jeff Scott Soto, all these people. And I was like, it was like the movie Rockstar. I was like, Mark Wahlberg,
Yeah.
you know, just like,
Cool.
oh my God. So it's cool, man. I've gotten to do some cool things in the past, but Babylon AD by far is taking me to a place I've only ever dreamed of getting. And it's pretty positively emotional for me.
Yeah. I love the fact to see that you got some credits on the album as well for the
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, which must be
That
cool.
that's the benefit of playing guitar too,
Yeah.
is you can get some credit in there. Like "Shut Up" is the one that I had the biggest hand in, which I really like that song a lot. Unbiasedly as a listener, I really think it's a cool song.
I think it's a great song. I love it. It's one of my top three, I think, on the album.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I love it. That bass line that it opens with.
Yeah.
Craig came over to my house in this exact room, right where I'm sitting. It's like, I got this bass line. I don't know what I want to do with it. I've had it for however long, 15, 20 years. What do you think about it? And I was like, that's cool. It's kind of like Thin Lizzy a little bit, kind of Thin Lizzy-esque. I was like,
Yeah.
we should kind of put a modern twist on it, though, make it sound a little more, you know. And this was before we were ever in this band
Yeah.
that we wrote the so I picked up my guitar and we came up with a couple other parts and we recorded a demo at my house. And we were looking to add more songs to this record. And I nervously raised my hand. It's like, how about this? And then we played it through the speakers and Derek goes, man, that's fucking cool, man. We should do that. Really? Yeah, man, that sounds cool. Sounds like something we would do. Okay. So that's how that came about. That was cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, I was hoping there was going to be a story like that attached to it, but yeah, I didn't realize it's nice, isn't it? When I know that on the last album there were a couple of songs that were demos way back in the day, and sometimes you just do sit on that stuff because you know there's something special about it, but you just it doesn't fit at the time or it's not quite right at the time. So that's wonderful to hear that. But
Yeah.
fantastic about Monsters on the Mountain as well. Be great to go back there. I know John very well. He's one of the loveliest guys in the whole scene, and we've I started this website 15 years ago now, and I think John was one of the very first people who would speak to me.
Wow.
So over the years, we've just bumped into each other so many times. Whether it was when he was doing Motley, I saw him on the Monsters of Rock cruise the same year I saw Babylon actually,
Wow.
and yeah, just ever since when he's been in the Dead Daisies or whenever he's done his solo stuff, and he always takes time to go out for a bite and
Yeah.
have something to eat with me, and we chat about stuff. So
Oh, I bet.
it's cool. And then maybe in 10 years' time, we'll still be talking, hopefully, about some of your product projects and stuff like that. But yeah, it's wonderful to see on board. I really enjoyed the backline, the bass and the drums for me. I said as well as the guitars. And as a guitarist as well, um, you mentioned Thin Lizzy. Now Ron and James don't have that same sort of like Scott Gorham and whoever it was relationship. There's more of a like twin lead thing going on. I
Yeah.
find. I don't know what's the dynamic like. I mean, they seem to get along and musically be so compatible.
Man, to be honest with you, for me, they're just all like my uncles.
Yeah,
I mean, I've known Ron the longest and Craig the longest. So going into it, they were in an integral part of making me feel comfy behind the kit with this whole new set of circumstances. Derek has been instrumental in helping me with my confidence because I, as you can imagine, was really nervous to go into this and to play these songs that so many people love and so many people know. And uh, John Matthews is the sweetest guy I probably ever met. He's so laid back, and I don't know. I think we're really honest and open with each other outside of just things about the band.
yeah,
And we text. I mean, we talk every day. I was just talking to Craig. I was just talking to Ron, and we were talking about the album, how excited we are, and how proud of each other we are. So
mm,
I think we give each other the accolades and the respect outside the projects. That when we're doing the projects, it's just on stage and off stage chemistry is it's undeniable.
yeah.
Where it's a love fest.
Well,
Um,
it does seem like that. I think people are going to really. I mean, I love the album. I think it's one of the best albums I've heard in the last 4 or 5 years, easily. But there's been some great albums coming out recently as well. So there's a lot of stiff competition out there. But I'm just glad that the music's getting heard. And I think when people hear this, they're going to realize that. I mean, I was talking to a guy the other day, and I can't remember, I think I played Pain, and he just his eyes lit up, and he went, "Wow, who's this?" And like he'd not even heard of Babylon A.D. before. And then this morning messages me and goes, "Where's this band been all my life?" So there's plenty of people out there who I think might even discover the band through this new album. But
yeah.
is it next week it comes out? I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when this episode comes out, but yeah, it's on out May 17th, which is a week from today.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
which is cool. So I'm going to get this interview up as soon as I can. I'm the only person I've got left to speak to is Derek, so I'm catching up with Derek next week. So I think Derek's probably my second most interviewed person after John Corabi. So we
well,
we sort we sort of caught up after all of his projects. I loved his blues stuff. I don't know if you've
oh
heard.
yeah, like Mississippi Mud and Sweet Cream Cadillac and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. So it'll be cool. So welcome aboard. I'm just going to get you to do a couple of things for us. We when we speak to people the first time, um, and the book will come out next year for the second question I'm going to ask you. So you'll sneak into that one. But and I also asked Ron if he'd do something for me as well. When we get an album we really like, we just like to get the publicity, keep it going. So I'm getting everyone, Derek, Ron, and all the guys to do a top 10. It's just pick 10 albums that are important to you. It doesn't have to be in any order. It doesn't have to be your favorite to your least favorite, just 10 albums that are important to you. And just if you could write a couple of lines about each, I'll put
Yeah.
everyone from the band's top tens up. There's a few top 10 lists up on our website anyway, so you can sort of like see how you do it, but not a lot. It's just to like open people up to music, I guess, that's inspired you. So Ron's already writing his, he told me. So
I'll get on as soon as we're off the phone because I already got 5 of them.
oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to hear them, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. So it's funny because I do it. Part of it's for personal reasons as well. In the
Yeah.
some of the lists come in, I think, God, I've not heard that album for years, and I'll go back and play it, and it'll be absolutely wonderful. But for the radio, so we'll do this next segment just for the radio. We've got a radio show every Thursday. And what I'll get you to do is just answer two questions and then introduce one of the songs. So,
Okay.
and the song I'm going to get you to introduce is the one we've talked about, Looking for a Heartbeat,
Okay.
which I'm not sure if I can play it before release date, but if not, if not, it will go out the Thursday after release. So, um, okay, first question is, if you could have been a fly on the wall for the creation of any great album in the history of rock and roll, what would you love to have seen being made? So not necessarily your favorite album, but the one that sort of really intrigues you, or
Man, I have a couple answers, but I'm gonna try and pick one.
you can pick
Uh,
you can pick as many
probably.
as you like. Ace Frehley picked five, so
Okay, okay. Ace, okay. I'll pick two. My first one is A Night at the Opera, Queen,
yeah,
and then my second one is Van Halen 1.
yeah. I mean, very different albums, but both are completely groundbreaking in different ways. I mean, just to have seen how they layered everything and got those effects with tape back in the
Yeah.
days when Queen did that is incredible.
Well, and they had the wings on the drum and just Brian May's guitar tone is ridiculous. I think Roger Taylor is really underrated as a drummer. And to be a fly on the wall in the same room as 22-year-old Eddie playing Eruption in one take,
yes,
or if you can do an early demo of Somebody Get Me a Doctor,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, it would have been brilliant. And the we leave the easy question to last. What is the meaning of life?
Oh, man, I've been trying to answer that for a long time. My dad and I talk about it pretty often. I think everybody has a different meaning and purpose in life. So for me, the meaning of life is to do what I love as much as I can with the people that I love and support those that I love.
Great answer. That's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us, Dylan. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put all of the interviews together. So
Cool.
I'll get some. Ron didn't have video, so I'm going to transcribe everything and just make it a piece about the album, and then probably put up yeah, the individual interviews as well. So I might
Cool.
we'll play around with the video and stuff like that. It's so nice to meet you. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for making the time. Keep in touch, and yeah, anything else that you're up to as well. Always interested to hear.
Yeah, man, there's a lot coming up for us anyway, and I just got a text today about a string of shows that haven't been announced. There's quite a bit coming up that
Are they the Babylon shows in Texas, are they, and stuff like that? Yeah.
yeah. There's that, and then we're coming to Europe next year. We got like a festival, like a 4-day string of festivals.
Yeah.
Um, there's talk of the cruise next year,
Oh, cool.
and
That'll be good. And yeah, hopefully some Japan dates. Ron was saying that there's some talk of Japan dates, and of course, if that happens, we'll try and get you over because it's just a short trip from Japan really to Australia. It'd be nice to get in a couple of East Coast states there because we've got a couple of festivals now. We've got a thing called, sadly, it's called Glamfest, but essentially it's just hard rock 80s type stuff. So it'd be a wonderful fit for you. But
oh,
yeah, congratulations on a great album,
thank
fantastic
you.
performance. Really enjoyed listening to the drums and the bass as well. So let Craig know that I've not spoken to Craig. I've now caught up with everyone who's ever been in Babylon AD, uh, apart from
John and Craig.
Yeah, apart from John, I think. So Ron's just teed me up with that though, so I'll catch
Yes.
up with him shortly. Take care, my
All
friend. If you need anything, just give us a hoy, and I'll speak to you soon.
right. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Bye.